And welcome back, grass viewers. We're back with the Low-Piklopedia challenge, part 2. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, you're going to be pretty confused as I don't explain the challenge again here, and you'll also be pretty confused about what's going on right now, so you should probably go to the description, click on part 1, and watch that first. With that said, now that we're done with Glutton's Kitchen, I do another one of these extinction cycles where I go to Awakening Wood, Valley Repose, grow a yellow and a blue, then pluck them, then go back to Perplexing Pool. I'm gonna continue doing extinction cycles with blue Pikmin, so I put them all on the ground, but at this point I figure I have enough yellow Pikmin, so I pluck them all. Now I do another extinction cycle, going first to Valley Repose to mix things up, and then to Awakening Wood. Then I put all my yellows on this electric gate, because today we're going to Bulbser's Kingdom. Let's do it. And here we go. Bulbser's Kingdom is a very tough cave. Many of the tricks that tie this run together will be displayed here. First off, we gotta get this treasure from this orange Bulborb. I lure this orange Bulborb in a particular manner to get it stuck on this slope right here. I stun it with a bunch of purple throws, and then I kill it off with a few more purple throws and quickly whistle and zoom in. This trick might look familiar because I did something very similar in Hole of Beasts. In fact, if I zoom out, you'll see that the treasure moved quite far from the orange Bulborb corpse, which is right where I want it. I go back with the save state, and now I need to carefully maneuver around the orange Bulborb so that it won't update and finish dying and appear in the Piklopedia. Once I get around with my camera still zoomed in, I can go up to this treasure and throw a couple purples on it, and the Pikmin are actually still far enough away from the orange Bulborb that it doesn't update and finish dying. So now we can collect the treasure. That's our first of many difficult treasures in this cave. Stay tuned. But if I was to put the Bulborb back on camera, you would see that it would update and finish dying because you can see its ghost. So I did all that without it dying and having its ghost appear. Anyway, now I carefully maneuver around the orange Bulborb again and go to the next level. The next level is easy enough. All I need to do is C-stick some reds over here and punch a couple dweebles and we're good to go. The third level has nothing but a buried treasure we can't get, so skip! As for floor 4, we have a treasure inside this Wollywog here, but we also have a treasure inside this glint beetle here. Now unfortunately we cannot get the treasure inside the glint beetle, but we have gotten a treasure inside of a Wollywog before, and we're going to have to do something similar one more time. So we're going to repeat the same steps that we used in Citadel Spiders. First, we put our secondary captain next to the exit. Then we set up another Wollywog Superjump by having this Pikmin distract the Wollywog. Then we execute the Wollywog Superjump by having the Wollywog target Louie, store a jump on Louie, and then we run on the other side of the research pod, and we activate the Superjump. The Wollywog jumped really far from its home, so it turns around and starts jumping towards it and tries to return to it. However, after a handful of jumps, it gets stuck in this corner right here, and then it makes a new home right there. Now I place the Wollywog right underneath the research pod and lower my health. Everything's almost set up. And it's finally led up to this. I pound the Wollywog here with a bunch of purple throws, but I whistle them off at the last minute, throw one purple on it which finishes the job, but I kill myself on this electricity here. Louie is down. But now we're Olimar, who's next to the exit, and the Wollywog that just died dropped his treasure, and it was immediately carried to the research pod. So I was able to collect this treasure without the Wollywog completely dying, and as soon as this cutscene ends, I'm able to exit with just enough time before the Wollywog's ghost appears, so it did not appear in the Piklopedia. Phew! After all that hard work, it's pretty easy to collect the anxious sprout on this floor. All I had to do was lure these dwarf orange Bulborbs out of the way. However, at the last second here, a bomb dropped out of the sky. Right next to the dwarf orange Bulborbs. They're gonna die! Quick, lure them out of the way! Ah!
Will Grass Digger's little friends survive? Or will they succumb to the forces of the bomb? Find out on the Low-Piklopedia challenge.
Jeez, there's just no time to rest on this challenge. Let's get out of here. Oh yeah, and we still got sub-level 6! As if this cave wasn't tough enough already. Thankfully, it's easy enough to collect Fred's dead head. I just have to lure these little guys out of the way with Olimar. And yes, you heard that right. Fred's dead head. And we also have the treasure inside this orange Bulborb, which that's where the difficulty in this floor lies. I'm going to do the same trick that I showed in sub-level 1 of this cave, but first, I need to get this orange Bulborb positioned on this slope like this, and I zoom in. When I approach him again, he's still on that slope, and I pummel him with a bunch of purple throws like I tend to do, and once he dies, I whistle my Pikmin and zoom in really fast again. The treasure slid down that slope in the wall quite a ways, so I'm able to move it without having the orange Bulborb update and finish dying. Therefore, I'm able to collect yet another treasure inside of an enemy without having that enemy appear in the Piklopedia. But we're still not done with this cave, because for once we can collect the treasure on the final floor. I don't think we can collect the Emperor Bulblax's treasure with our current setup, so I do have to go through these fire vents without the Scorch Guard, which actually isn't as tough as it sounds. I just have to be a little bit intricate with my movement. Plants were really annoying on this floor. I barely missed one right there, and I actually had to reset a couple times because I got layouts where I had to carry through plants. Anyway, the last thing I gotta do in this cave is lure this big idiot out of the way so he can stick his tongue out at me while the Pikmin carry the treasure behind him. And with that, we're done. We got a pretty big haul from the Bulblax Kingdom. I think we should be pretty proud of ourselves. We left off in the middle of an extinction cycle, so I go back to Valley Repose to pluck this blue Pikmin, and then I go back to Perplexing Pool. With Louie distracting the spotty Bulbser, I'm able to bury these two new blues in the ground, and then I'm able to put these yellows on the electric gate. The theme for this section is just going to be doing random tasks above ground, so I just wait on this electric gate the entire day, and then I end the day. Next up, we do another extinction cycle to grow more blue Pikmin. I go back to Perplexing Pool to put my blues in the ground, but I have something else in mind to do while I'm here. The Toady Bulbser is a really light enemy, and it can be pushed around very easily as you can see right now. I make the spotty Bulbser go back and forth so that I can keep pushing the Toady Bulbser all the way to the ship, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to collect the aquatic mine. I can collect the aquatic mine in a very similar way that I collect treasures from inside a Wollywog, and you'll see that here in just a second. Once I'm done with the spotty Bulbser, I lead it out here and I leave it alone. But I'm still not quite done moving the Toady Bulbser yet. I can still move it ever so slightly by running into it with a leader like Olimar. After a short while, it's finally where I want it. After just a little bit more waiting, it's finally next to the rocket and I'm able to kill it right on top of this spot here so that we can immediately collect the aquatic mine. And as you can see, the Toady Bulbser was still in its dying animation, and once I leave this cutscene, you'll see that its ghost has not appeared yet when I go to sunset. Right here, you see that it still has its health bar displayed, and that means it's not quite dead yet. This means we got the aquatic mine without the Toady Bulbser being in the Piklopedia. Next up, we have another exciting extinction cycle. And back in Perplexing Pool, instead of burying all my blues, I actually pluck all of them first because I want to use them today. I need them to carry this treasure here through the water, and once I do that, I need to distract these cheerwicks here so that they can carry it safely. Here, I swap the blues for reds, and then I take these blues to this wall here in the water so they can start tearing it down. But I still want these blues to be buried by the end of today, so I don't go all the way until sunset. I whistle them here, and then I go over to the stench bugs and I bury them again. Well, the time has come. This is my last extinction cycle. You hate to see them go. They're so entertaining to watch, am I right? Back in Perplexing Pool, I distract the Bulbser with Louie, and this allows me to pluck all 20 of my blues at long last. I nectar up my squad of 69 Pikmin. With this magic number of Pikmin, I'm ready to take on the shower room. Now the shower room is actually not that hard of a cave. On this first floor here, the only thing that really blocks me here is this pale Wollywog. As you probably expect, all I really gotta do is have the Wollywog be distracted by another Pikmin while my other Pikmin safely carry the treasure right past it. On the next floor, I distract this jelly float with a Pikmin, and then I distract this orange Bulbser with Louie while he's stuck in the tub. But we're not done yet. A dwarf orange Bulbser drops from the sky here, and I gotta get rid of it. So I lead it into the tub here and let Louie distract both of these orange Bulbers at the same time. Also, in case you forgot, I don't have white Pikmin, so I gotta destroy poison vents with purple pounds. And I'm still not out of the woods yet because when I carry this battery, the jelly float attacks, so I have to rescue the purples before they get sucked up. Thankfully, I moved it far enough so that when I carry it the next time, the jelly float is out of range and I can safely carry the battery now. Now this floor was a little bit trickier for me. First of all, there's a lot of enemies here, and they're pretty annoying, and second of all, both treasures are on this side of the floor, so I have to be sneaky. First, I distract this water dumple with the Pikmin, and as for the other water dumple, I lure him away and put him off camera. Now I'm ready to start carrying treasures, but first, I need to distract this Hermit Cromad so that it doesn't attack my Pikmin. Then, there's a jelly float over here, but thankfully my Pikmin are just fast enough to escape its attack. It's the same song and dance for the other treasure, but the enemies are a bit closer to messing me up big time. The other treasure was inside a jelly float, so we move on to this floor, where plants get in my way, so I have to reset. On my next attempt, I barely missed those clovers, then these clovers, and finally this plant, but then we're good to go. On the next floor, the first treasure is easy enough to collect. For the next treasure, I first lure this Wollywog out of the way, then I go over to this dwarf Bulbser and lure him down the hill where he gets stuck. Man, I sure had a lot of foresight making exactly 20 blues, huh? I keep this withering blowhog down with purples while I collect the treasure. The last treasure is over here, with a dwarf Bulbser and a withering blowhog guarding it. I distract the withering blowhog with the purple since they can't be blown around. Then I lure this dwarf Bulbser to the spot over here where he'll be stuck. Then we're good to go. Last floor, and the first treasure is right next to the research pod, but a Dweevil snatches it. The treasure gets free, but I have to whistle the Pikmin off the Dweevil before the Dweevil dies. The next treasure is also right next to us, but I have to distract this dwarf Bulbser while it gets carried. There's also a Munch Dweevil in here, and it attacks, but the Pikmin free it. I'm really glad it wasn't the volatile Dweevil because then it would explode and be added to the Piklopedia. The last treasure, unfortunately, is in a bit of a precarious spot. As you can see, there's a lot of dwarf Bulbserbs in my way. So here's the game plan. First, stick Louie in this hidey hole. Then, I lure a couple of dwarf Bulbserbs over here so that they can be distracted by Louie. But I still need to get Olimar out, so I walk over to them, punch them twice, which makes them shake, and I'm good to go. Now I can finally start carrying the last treasure, but while I do so, I still need to distract the rest of the dwarf Bulbserbs that I couldn't distract with Louie. While doing so, I actually accidentally kill Olimar, but that's okay, I can do the rest of the cave with Louie. See, we're not done yet, because I still have to get to the hole which is guarded by all these enemies and the wall. And I know that there's actually a volatile Dweevil to my right, so I stay to the left so that I don't draw him out. Oh no, I forgot about the boss! How will I fight the boss without Olimar? I need to use teamwork to defeat this boss. Guess I can't fight him. Better escape while I can. Hurry, 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 he's coming. Oh lord, he coming. Hurry! Phew, close one. Alright, it's my last day in Awakening Woods, and you know what that means. First, I gotta collect a decorative goo, but the cloaking burnet's in my way, so I get him stuck in this corner like that. I was a bit nervous that I'd hit the flower here, but I just missed it. And lastly, this other cloaking burnet is in my way, but as you could probably predict, I'm just gonna wake him and lure him out of the way. Easy peasy. After carefully getting up here once again, we're ready to take on the Snagger hole. Now the feather is pretty easy to collect. A single red can outrun all these sheargrubs that try to attack it. Now this guy's holding a treasure too, and of course that's going to be a little harder to collect because, well, it's a living thing, we don't want to kill it, all that good stuff. So first I lower its health, then I wait for my opportunity to strike while it's on the hill. While it's on the hill I take it down with a barrage of purples, and the treasure lands on the hill and bounces away, and I retreat just in time so the creature doesn't die. Now I can carry the treasure without updating the orange Bulbser and causing it to die, and while I carry it, I distract these male sheargrubs, and once that's all done, I'm good to go. Again, if I were to put the orange Bulbser on camera, it would finish dying and be added to the Piklopedia. Now the trick for sublevel 2 is actually just finding a floor where there weren't plants in the way. I had to reset over a dozen times just because there's a plant blocking the path of a treasure. However, once I found a layout where there weren't plants blocking my way, it actually was a pretty easy layout. All I had to do was distract these three idiots with a yellow Pikmin. Then, while carrying both of the treasures, I just had to distract a couple other sheargrubs, and that was it for sublevel 2. Ironically enough, we won't be fighting any snaggers in Snagger Hole. As far as I know, they just die too fast before we can collect their treasure, so we skip sublevel 3. Now both of the treasures on sublevel 4 were actually in really nice spots. So first I take some yellows with me to destroy the electric hazards. Then I distract the dwarf Bulbser while I collect the cherry. And there was really no problem collecting the marble. I don't know if we can collect the cannon beetle's treasure, so we're out. Now sublevel 5 is interesting. One treasure, the Emperor Whistle, is inside of an antenna beetle, and there's actually a way to make it fall out of bounds and make it drop his treasure, and when this happens, the antenna beetle does not appear in the Piklopedia. However, to do this is random, and I didn't feel like going for it. However, the other treasure is inside this dwarf orange bulborb here, and there's a very precise way to utilize the slope to collect this treasure. I kill it while it's just on the slope, and I make the treasure slide just far enough away from the dwarf orange bulborb. Then there's just enough room for this purple to carry the treasure without updating the orange bulborb and making it die. Now I can collect this marble without the dwarf orange bulborb appearing in the Piklopedia. As you can see, the dwarf orange bulborb never finished dying. Lastly, we have sub-level 6, which combines a lot of the techniques that I've used throughout this run so far. First, I get some purples over here so I can have one of them destroy this poison vent. Then a little rinse and repeat. Once again, it sure was a good thing I had exactly 20 blues, wouldn't you say? Hey, antenna beetle, get out of here! What are you doing? That guy. Good grief. And now he's gonna try to do it again, but I get next to him so that he flies away. This poor purple is getting so intoxicated today. While there is a snaggart over here, he's just too slow to cause a problem. We can just breeze right past him. This guy, however, continues to be annoying. He almost whistled my Pikmin off of the clover, but we get past him. The last treasure is in this little guy, and you can probably predict what's going to happen next. We've seen it a couple of times by now. I gotta get the guy in the right position, then deliver the final blow on the hill, the treasure slides down the hill, and the creature doesn't die. I just stay out of range of the dwarf orange bulborb so that it doesn't finish dying, and I can just snag the treasure barely. We're good to go. The rest of the treasures are inside of snaggarts, and I don't think we can collect them. So, we're gonna head out, and this is our haul. We're done with awakening wood, and just a quarter of the debt remains. And now we're in the nice and peaceful Valley of Repose. With our mighty squad of 20 blues, we take down this wall and drain the water. And now we can make our way to Frontier Cavern, distracting this withering blowhog in the meantime. Both treasures on sub-level 1 are buried, so skip! The enemies on the next floor were rather annoying, but I eventually was able to find my way around them. To collect this treasure, I first put Pikmin on it and then immediately distract these dwarf bulborbs. Then I need to distract this cannon beetle by making it shoot away from the Pikmin. After that, we're good to go. The other treasure in this layout was easy enough. There are no enemies in the way, so there was nothing to talk about. The next floor was a breeze. I'm able to distract both of the big threats on this floor with a single Pikmin. The one treasure I collect here has a straight shot to the research pod. One treasure is buried, which I can't get without whites, and the other treasure is inside of the spotty bulbear here. The spotty bulbear is always loaded, even when off camera, and it has a quick death animation, so I don't think we can collect this treasure. The next floor is another cakewalk. Both treasures are easy to pick up, and there was only one point where I almost got in trouble with electricity, but we got past the anode beetles just fine. We also skipped sub-level 5. I actually think we could collect the Mamuta's treasure if we were able to switch leaders, but I can't do that right now. Next floor, we take out some fire, we distract the bulbmen, all that good stuff. Now I can start collecting the chess pieces. This cannon beetle is in my way, and he almost gets my Pikmin with his rocks, but at this point it's easy to make his rocks go away from the Pikmin. As for the next chess piece, I avoid most of my problems by just not looking at them, because the cannon beetles will not shoot at me as long as they're off camera. And that's all she wrote. On the next floor, one treasure is buried, but the other treasure just has a straight shot to the research pod, with nothing but an orange bulborb in its way. After that, there's not really a point in going to the last floor, since I can't collect the Empress Bulblax's treasure, so we're out. We got a pretty decent haul, I would say. Now we're gonna do some stuff above ground, so first I distract this dwarf bulborb. Now these purples can safely carry this treasure to the ship. Next up, I want to collect the Unspeakable Wonder, so I distract the cannon beetle with Louie. With the cannon beetle distracted, I put all of my reds on the Unspeakable Wonder, since there's fiery blowhogs in my way and I don't want my Pikmin to catch on fire. One more purple and I can safely take down the Unspeakable Wonder. Now I put the rest of my purples onto the Unspeakable Wonder. Now there's just a crap load of enemies in my way. First I make the cannon beetle shoot away from the Pikmin, then I make sure that this cloaking burrownet doesn't chase my Pikmin, and finally I make sure that the fiery blowhogs don't shoot fire at my purple Pikmin. And that's all for the above ground treasures. Alright, now we gotta take on the subterranean complex. This was one of the toughest caves in this challenge. Even getting to the subterranean complex is non-trivial. There's a poison gate in the way. And I can't just knapsack up there. But thankfully, there's a cannon beetle, and this cannon beetle shoots rocks. And the rocks destroy the poison. Ta-da! After destroying the second poison vent, I can get to subterranean complex without lights or the knapsack. Although, oddly enough, I couldn't swarm my Pikmin onto the wall. Like, they just wouldn't attack it. Even dismissed Pikmin wouldn't attack the wall. I didn't know what to do. I opted to re-enter Frontier Cavern and then immediately escape. Thankfully, after leaving Frontier Cavern, my Pikmin would attack the wall. I just barely had enough time in the day to make it into the cave before it went dark. The first floor is not too bad, but this purple had the bright idea of waking up the snow Bulborb. I punish him by using him as bait. I use another purple to actually take out the poison vent. And now I can start carrying the only non-buried treasure on this floor. But I'm gonna have to get up close and personal with this hairy Bulborb to do so. The Pikmin get awful close to him. That's it for this floor, but it only goes uphill from here. It's important to know that if you throw a purple Pikmin on a flying enemy, that they will always fall. And sometimes enemies don't even shake them off. So I abuse the heck out of that on this floor to keep these enemies down on the ground. I do this to one more careening Dirigibug so I can collect the other treasure. Of course, it's important that I whistle the purple off before it kills the careening Dirigibug. On to the next floor. Here I tried to distract this cannon beetle with Olimar, but that doesn't end up going too well. This cannon beetle almost crushes some Pikmin carrying the treasure. Thankfully, nothing else eventful happened on this floor. There's literally nothing to do on sublevel 4. There's no treasure, and there's not even ivory candy pop buds since I skipped white Pikmin. However, the real challenge starts now. Oh boy, this is a diagram of sublevel 5, and it's a doozy. I have to carry this treasure along the yellow path, but there's all of these volatile dweebles in my way. And here's the kicker. If one of them explodes, volatile dweebles get added to the Piklopedia, which is horrible. I'm not even gonna bother trying to collect the second treasure on this go-around. I'm gonna have to revisit Subterranean Complex and collect it later. I also had to reset a bunch because lights would get in my way, and if a treasure collides with one of the lights get added to the Piklopedia, even though they're not even really a plant. Ugh, so frustrating. So how am I gonna keep these volatile dweebles from exploding, you may wonder? Well, there's only really one way to go about it. I have to move them out of the way so that the Pikmin can safely carry the treasure beyond them. And here I've shown with red arrows where I'm going to try to move the volatile dweebles. There's a couple of complicated things going on here, like the volatile dweeble at the bottom has 2 arrows connected to it, and we'll see why that is later. Lastly, I put 2 blue stars on 2 volatile dweebles that I'm not going to have fall out of the sky. And with that all said, let's get back to the gameplay. Now our first step is to start moving this volatile dweeble down the hill. To do that first I need to sneak past him, which I can do because I have my camera zoomed in. Now if I approach him and run away just in time, the volatile dweeble will continue to chase me without ever igniting. If it sees me for over a second, it'll ignite and explode. Once he's on the hill, he'll start sliding down on his own, so I can leave him be for a short while. Here comes a volatile dweeble from the sky, and he pursues me for a little bit and almost explodes himself, but I just get out of the way in time. Now I can lead him down under this ledge here. I need to make sure he won't see any Pikmin above the ledge later. Now I need to sneak past this volatile dweeble. I zoom in the camera so that when he's off screen he doesn't see me, and I can just barely get past him without him exploding. Now I need to move this guy, and thankfully I only need to move him a short way until he slides down the hill the rest of the way on his own. While he's sliding down the hill, I need to sneak past him, so once again I zoom in the camera and bolt on past. Phew, another close one. Now I need to be careful through here because there's a volatile dweeble that can drop out of the sky. And by now this other volatile dweeble has finally finished sliding down the hill, so now I can start leading him elsewhere. It's a good thing I moved that last volatile dweeble, otherwise I wouldn't have room to move this one. Eventually, he's far enough away that Pikmin can carry the treasure around the corner later and the volatile dweeble won't see them. When I'm done, I carefully sneak past him while going around the corner. The other volatile dweeble did not drop out of the sky. Woohoo! Now I make this guy drop out of the sky, and start transporting him down this hallway where he'll be out of the way. At the end I sneak past him once again, and now just one volatile dweeble remains in the way. I bring some Pikmin over here and have them dig up this treasure. Once I start carrying it, however, a volatile dweeble will fall from the sky, and I don't want that to happen just yet. I grab a purple so that it can pick up the treasure, and then I immediately pick it up and get it out of the way of the volatile dweeble. Now remember, this was the volatile dweeble that had 2 arrows in my diagram, and now we'll see what that means. So first, I want to move it over this direction so that I can start carrying the treasure a little ways. I need to be extra precise on this hill, however, because it wants to slide down the hill if I leave it still. Now I need to get myself and these 15 blues past this volatile dweeble, which I can still do by zooming in the camera and zooming past the volatile dweeble. Now I can finally start carrying the treasure, but once the treasure gets too close to the volatile dweeble, I whistle the blues off. Now here I do the second arrow of movement to this volatile dweeble, putting it behind the treasure. Now I can sneak around the volatile dweeble one more time, and continue carrying the treasure. Oh no, I forgot about the dweeble in the sky! Now it sees my Pikmin and it's gonna blow up. How unfortunate. Psych! Let's not let that happen and whistle the blues off and carry the treasure with a single purple. Now the Pikmin are far enough from the dweeble that it won't fall out of the sky. After a close call with this light, we finally collect the treasure, and we can move on with our lives. Wait, are you kidding me? After all that hard work to collect that last treasure, you're just gonna give me this one for free? I'll take it. For the next treasure, first I get this careening dirigi bug to explode some poison vents, then I try to get this moonch dweeble to fall out of bounds, because like I said previously, when an enemy dies from falling out of bounds, it does not appear in the Piklopedia. Now I grab some reds and a purple, then I down the dirigi bug with the purple, and carry the treasure on past him. The third treasure was pretty easy. I down the dirigi bug with the purple again, and the dweeble tries to mess me up, but some punches free the treasure and I'm good to go. Onward to sub-level 7. First things first, I make this Gatling Groink fall out of bounds. Then I awake the volatile dweeble hiding above this treasure and quickly get out of the way. Now I throw a purple on this dirigi bug to make it fall out of bounds without killing the purple. Now you know what I have to do with this volatile dweeble. You gotta get him out of the way. And thankfully, this floor is much more spacious in sub-level 5, so it's a breeze compared to then. Now I can start collecting this treasure, and there is this light here that I just barely miss. Lights turn out to be my greatest enemy on this floor because they are always in the way of the treasures. Now I just need to distract this Gatling Groink a little bit. And voila! Another treasure down. Now unfortunately, this treasure had a light this way, and I couldn't collect it this go around. So I leave it for now, but I'm revisiting Subterranean Complex in a second. So now let's leave from sub-level 8, bask in the amount of pokos we just earned, and on the next day, we finish what we started. I simply delve deeper on the first 4 floors. And now we're back to sub-level 5, and I've made yet another diagram of what the layout is. Once again, we've got to move those dang volatile dweebles out of the way. And here's how we're gonna do it. This time, the red arrows indicate how I'm going to move the volatile dweebles before I start moving the treasure, and the blue arrows indicate how I'm going to move volatile dweebles after I start moving the treasure. Thankfully, the blue arrows also go over a hill, so I'll be able to use that hill to my advantage. And with that, let's get back to the gameplay. So let's put the big plan I have into action. First I move this guy. He gets moved quite a long ways, I say. Next up, I move this guy, and when I'm done, I sneak on past him. And now I can start digging up this treasure, but when I start carrying it, a volatile dweeble will fall from the sky, so I have to be careful. I devised a very clever way of picking up the treasure here. I have 4 types of Pikmin, I make 3 of them pick up the treasure, and then I very quickly switch between my 4 types of Pikmin so that they keep up with me and don't cause the volatile dweeble to blow up. Phew, this took a lot of times to get right. Now I move this booger out of the way and sneak past him once again. Now he doesn't chase my Pikmin here, so I make this other volatile dweeble drop out of the sky, and almost have him explode, and then I sneak past him, and then I whistle these Pikmin off of the treasure so that they don't cause him to explode. Now I very carefully bring my squad of Pikmin around him, and just like that I can move him beyond the treasure. And now we're almost done, just one volatile dweeble's in the way, and we stop in front of him first. Now I move this guy down the hill and as far left as I can, and at last, I can finally finish collecting this treasure, and we can move on from this horrid sublevel. All that's left to do is finishing sublevel 7. Once again, the first thing I do is make this Gatling Groink go bye-bye. This layout was really kind to me. This treasure is very close to the ship, with no real enemies or lights in my way. The only thing I gotta do is take care of this volatile dweeble. He's gotta go a long ways, but at this point it's still a pretty easy job. Now all that's left to do is finish collecting the last treasure in this cave. Unfortunately, I don't think we can collect the Tower Groink's treasure or Man at Leg's treasure. So with that, I leave the cave, end the day, and only a fraction of the debt remains. And now begins the final day. First thing I do is place Louie here so that he can distract the Spouty Bulbser. The next thing I do is finish destroying this underwater wall, which takes a while with just 20 blues, I say. After that, I put some Pikmin up here, and I use this purple to distract this withering blowhog. I also distract these water dumbles with another purple. Now, getting the treasure that's over here with just 20 blues is kind of tricky when you think about it, since the treasure takes 20 Pikmin to carry, and I need blue Pikmin to be on the scale so I can get up there. So I don't have enough blue Pikmin to start carrying the treasure, but that's where this purple Pikmin comes to help us out. The blues keep him from drowning. Eventually, they also throw him next to the treasure. After a little bit of sea sticking, he gets on the treasure. Now I can get up there the old-fashioned way, and I can put some blues on the treasure. Then I have to rush on over here to save the purple when the treasure goes in the water. Thankfully, there's some land over here that he can just rest on for a while. Now I can carry this treasure, and it actually goes through a plant right here, but that's okay, because for whatever reason that plant is not in the Piklopedia, so no new entry is added. I also distract these hermit crawmads myself. The rest of the enemies up here are already distracted, so we're almost done. There's a couple other enemies I have to put off camera so that they don't take Pikmin off of the treasure, and lastly I distract these cheerwigs, and with that, we finally collected this treasure. And now the real final trial begins. Submerged Castle! With that fire vent destroyed, there's nothing else preventing me from collecting this treasure. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and delve deeper. I'll explain why. Behold, the real final boss of this challenge, the Fiddlehead. No, I'm not joking, this plant is literally the worst. Most layouts in Submerged Castle have these stupid plants in the way. If I'm lucky, one treasure can be carried back to the research pod without a Fiddlehead in the way. Therefore, I'm going to have to revisit Submerged Castle a second time to collect the treasures that I skipped this time. Before I collect the next treasure, I need to distract this Bulbmin mother. Since I can't kill it, I very sadly won't be able to use Bulbmin in this cave. Once the Bulbmin are far enough in this pipe, I slide down this slope and start carrying the treasure. I need to distract this dwarf orange bulborb in the meantime. The easiest way to do this is to make it shake. I let Olimar continue distracting the Bulbmin, and I need to free this treasure from these dweevils as well. Now the treasure is collected. Now I just gotta get to the hole before the water wraith shows up. The treasure on this side of the map is always blocked by fiddleheads, it seems, so we go ahead and delve deeper. Thankfully, breaking electric hazards with just blues isn't too bad. This treasure is guarded by a Wollywog. Oh no, what will I do? Well, I simply make him jump at me again, and now he's too far from his home, so he just tries to get home instead of attacking me. Now next up, I have a few very close calls with these fiddleheads. See what I mean? They're the worst. Besides that, I just have a couple of run-ins with these Anode dweevils that cause me no problem. Another treasure down. Now we just carefully make our way to the hole and delve deeper. Oh man, this was definitely the hardest level in this cave, and you'll see why. First, I distract these Bulbmin with a blue. And guess what? Volatile dweevils are back. My second worst enemy, only rivaling fiddleheads. First thing I gotta do is carefully sneak around this guy. Next up, I gotta get this volatile dweevil out of the way. I do it in kind of a strange path because I need room to retreat the entire time. Now I have all 20 blues destroy the wall blocking a treasure, and they all pick up the treasure. Louie distracts his Bulbmin in the meantime. I also end up having another close call with this fiddlehead here. Eventually, I collect the treasure. By the way, Olimar was distracting this Bulbmin this entire time, so he wasn't being useless. I need to maneuver around it, and a volatile dweevil that can drop from the sky, before saving my blues from poison. With that all done, I make my way to the hole and delve deeper. After that, I take the geyser out of here. Guess what? We're halfway done with this cave. And we're also so close to paying off the debt, just 70 pokos are left. I make my way back to Submerged Castle for round 2. Sub-level 1 is still very easy, these fire vents go down with no problem. While carrying this treasure, I do have a close call with this fiery Bulblax, but thankfully he stays asleep. Other than that, all I have to do is make this fiery blowhog shoot fire away from my blues. We move on to sub-level 2, leaving behind the fiery Bulblax's treasure. Collecting this treasure is even easier than the last time. The only enemies in my way are a couple of dweevils, and they go down easily. Bulbmen, like spotty bullbears, die quickly and are always loaded, so we leave behind his treasure. Onward to the next floor! I do a pretty interesting maneuver here. I dismiss my Pikmin onto the electricity now, and this also dismisses Olimar, who distracts the Bulbmen. Next I take down some electricity. Now I can start carrying the treasure. There is a withering blowhog in my way, so I have to take that down so it doesn't blow my Pikmin, and then I have to destroy yet more electricity, and finally I'm home free. Now I'm almost positive that we can't collect the withering blowhog's treasure without having that appear in the Piklopedia, and thus we're on to the final sublevel of this challenge. This layout of sublevel 4 was much nicer than the last one I encountered. The treasure's right there. And it's pretty easy to distract both Bulbmen too. Nothing's ever that easy though. There's a bomb right here, and I can't let it explode the Bulbmen. Quick, I gotta push it out of the way. Come on Louie, come on Louie. Phew, it did not kill the Bulbmen. Now I can start carrying the treasure, but the Bulbmen are gonna see the Pikmin, so I have to make sure that they don't lunge at the Pikmin, which they almost did. Thankfully, once the Pikmin are far enough away, I can run away, and they will target Olimar again. From here, it's a safe passage to the research pod. Now I make a beeline for the hole, going through some poison along the way. I leave behind the iridescent glint beetle's treasure, and I'm almost positive that that can't be collected. We never get to see the water wraith in this cave, cause we're outta here. And in case you are curious, this is what the Piklopedia looks like at the end of the day. After you pay off the debt, you can see just how many enemies we did not encounter. After a fair amount of scrolling, we finally come across the first entry, the Violet Candy Pot Bud, which we needed to get out of Valley of Repose in the first place. After just a little bit more scrolling, we come across our very last entry in the Piklopedia, the Pellet Posy, and there were only 6 of them defeated, the minimum that I could manage. But yeah, that's all there is to say about the Piklopedia. I also go ahead and show off the treasure hoard. What's really interesting about this challenge is just how close this was all to falling apart. I needed to collect almost every treasure in this treasure hoard to pay off the debt. There are just so many treasures that are buried or inside of bosses. I mean, after all is said and done, I only had an excess of 165 pokos. So yeah, all those times I did some pretty crazy things to collect the treasure, that was necessary. If you take away just 2 of those treasures, all of a sudden the debt isn't paid, and the challenge would be impossible. With all of that said, thanks very much for watching. I'm sorry it took so long to get part 2 out to you all, but hopefully you enjoyed the challenge. If there's enough interest, I may look into 100%ing the game with a Low-Piklopedia. But until then, take care of yourselves and have a good day.